Hello students, how are you all? Students, if you want to score full marks in legal principles, you have to find the catch. Or we can say you have to basically match that catch between the principal facts and the options given to you. So, first of all, we have to assume that the principle is always right. This is the catch. Let us start with the problem. The first principle says an offer can be accepted only when the acceptor has the knowledge of such offer. So the important thing in this is acceptor should have the knowledge to accept the offer. So facts are A offers to pay a reward of rupees 10,000 to anyone who finds his watch. B without knowledge. So we have to match the catch between the principle and the facts, and that is acceptor should have the knowledge. Here B without knowledge of the offer made by A finds and returns the watch. So we have found the match, and that is the knowledge. Principle says acceptor should have knowledge. Fact says that B without knowledge. So the answer would be C. B cannot claim the reward because he did not have the knowledge of the offer made by A. So if you look the underlined words and the stars, this was the catch, and I just simply matched that catch. So let us do the second one. For an acceptance to be a valid acceptance, it must be communicated to the other party, and mere intention to accept is not sufficient. So the catch here is, which we have to match with the principal facts and the options, is communicated and mere intention not sufficient. So the fact is A offers to sell to B mustard oil. B intends to purchase the oil, writes a letter but forgets to post it. A comes to the knowledge, or A comes to know about B's intention and dispatches the oil to B. So B would be the answer, that there is no acceptance at all as it was not communicated to A. Third principle, in order to convert offer into a promise, acceptance of such offer must be absolute and unqualified. That means that if a person says that I want to sell my car to you worth rupees 1,000, and I say in return that no, I'll buy it in 900, that is a cross offer. That is not the acceptance. Let us do the problem. Fact is, A offers to sell his house to B for rupees 1,000. B instead agrees to purchase A's house for 900. Now A rejects B's offer of rupees 900. Thereafter B agrees to purchase the house for the price stated by A. A rejects this too. Now in present case, A is the answer. A is not bound to sell the house because B rejected the offer initially made by A, thus the offer lapsed. Let us do the principle number 4. An offer is revoked if the person making the offer dies and the fact of his death comes to the knowledge of the person accepting before he accepts. That means if he would have knowledge about the death before the acceptance, then it can be revoked. So A offers to sell his house to Z. Subsequently A dies. Z, without knowledge of the fact of A's death, accepts the offer. So in that case, C would be the answer, because Z has validly accepted the offer made by A, and Z did not have the knowledge of A's death before he accepted the offer. Let us do the fifth option. Fifth principle, an agreement made without consideration, that is the price for which the promise of the other is brought, is void and not enforceable. So in an agreement, there should be a consideration, exchange of a promise with a promise or something in return. So A promises to give X rupees 10,000 without any consideration in return. So A is the answer. The agreement to pay X rupees 10,000 is void as there is no consideration. What A is getting in return from X? Nothing. So A would be the answer. Let us do the next one. The sixth problem. Principle. An agreement entered into by a minor below 18 years is void ab initio from the very beginning. Fact. A 17 years old boy contracted to sell his house to B. A received rupees 15,000 as consideration and refused to deliver the possession of the house. Now in this case, what will happen? B is the answer. The agreement between A and B is void ab initio from the very beginning because A was a minor when he entered into the agreement. Very simple. We have to match the catch. So, principle A, minor who fraudulently represents that he is a major is not stopped from taking the defense of minority to avoid the contract. A minor succeeded in deceiving some moneylenders by telling them a lie about his age and received a loan of rupees 500. The option would be A. The minor A validly plead that he is a minor and can avoid the contract. Let us do the next. A person who supplies necessities of life to a minor is entitled to be reimbursed for such supply. But in this case, the reimbursement would be from the property of the minor. Or let it be. Principle is always right. Facts. A minor borrows rupees 10,000 from B for defending himself in a dacoity case. What would be the answer? B is entitled to be reimbursed as the money borrowed by A must be taken to have been borrowed for necessaries, that is to defend his life and personal liberty. Principle number 9. A person who is usually of unsound mind but who is occasionally of sound mind may enter into contract when he is of sound mind. Facts. A lunatic who is lodged in a mental hospital agrees to sell his house for rupees 10,000 to be a doctor. A, while accepting the offer made by the doctor, was of sound mind. Very simple. Match the catch or catch the match. It is C. The agreement entered into by the lunatic is enforceable because while accepting the offer, he was of sound mind and could understand and form a rational judgment. Next one. Principle. Where the relations between the parties are such that one of the parties is in a position to dominate the will of the other party, thereby obtains an unfair advantage by using such influence, then such contract is voidable. Facts. A spiritual guru induced B, a devotee, to gift whole of his property so that he could secure salvation. So the answer would be because the devotee gifted the property under the undue influence of the spiritual guru, the contract is voidable at the option of the devotee. So the next is a promise made without any intention of performing it, thereby inducing another party to enter into a contract amounts to fraud. So fact is A purchases goods from B. Price of the goods to be paid subsequently. A takes possession of the good without any intention to pay the price of the goods. Now the C would be the option. Why? Because the fraud will take place the moment A denies the payment and not otherwise. So the C would be the answer. It would amount to fraud only when A fails or refuses to make payment. Hope you got it. Just try to catch the match or the other way around, match the catch. Thank you.